Good evening, everybody. It is the Safety and the Sportswriter show with Knoxville Nate and Big Joe as we get together to talk to you about the world of football and everything else at large that's going on right now. A lot of stuff, both college and pros, we can talk about. Mostly pros, though. And Nate, first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing a lot better than some of our cohorts in the sports world. It looks like there's a arrest warrant out for Antonio Brown.
Yep.
Looks like the interim coach at Nebraska, Mickey Joseph, is going to be arrested for
Yep.
beating up a woman. It looks like John Kitna's son, the quarterback from Florida, has been arrested for child pornography. I mean, what the hell is going on right now?
Not been a slow news day. It's been a big news day. Off the field, all the stuff we don't want to hear. It's crazy. And then, if you want to go to a different sport, we got the Yankees finally put an offer on the table for Aaron Judge, I guess, yesterday or the day before. And he said $37.5 million just ain't going to get it done.
Yeah, well, I don't really blame Aaron Judge for that. I mean, but hey, it's a starting point. I'm betting that the Yankees will go up. I think they should, if Trey Turner's worth $300 million, then, what the hell is Aaron Judge worth? I would say more than that.
I just think that when I just not to get into the subject of the Yankees is they definitely should try and get him back into the fold. But there's so many that team is so dysfunctional and has been for the last 5 years. Even though they win every year and everything else, I mean, you got players playing out of position. They're too much into the analytics, and it's just crazy that you have 2 second basemen and you have no third baseman. You know what I mean? And no shortstop. It's like
and no manager.
Right. I mean, it's like it's where they just I don't know. It's we can talk about Atlanta and let's get to football. Weird weekend last week. I don't want to say weird, but I mean we had a lot of movement, and the playoff picture is starting to look or come into focus a little bit more. Let's go over a few of the teams what we saw happening last week.
You want to do the Thanksgiving Day games first, since
let's go.
We didn't get to talk about those on Thursday because we were off. Yeah. Why don't we talk about those first?
Yeah, I was hoping that Detroit could hang in there, but they couldn't hang on against the Bills, and the Bills came away and got back on track a little bit. What did you think about it, though? I mean, I'll tell you one thing: Detroit. They're a team that you can see the holes, but they've got some things going in the right direction.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, I'm not 100% sold that the Lions should go out and get a quarterback.
Yeah.
Jared Goff's playing pretty well. I mean, threw for 23 of 37, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. I just don't think he's really the problem. They've got a couple of pretty good wide receivers. Their offensive line looks good. I mean, the Lions were right there. And if they can just, get over the hump and get this culture shifted towards a winning way, I think that these games will be different in the end. I don't know. They need a little help on defense, but I just think they're really close. I think they're right there.
And they're in a division in transition right now. The Packers look like they're heading towards a rebuild at some point within the next couple of years, whenever Aaron Rodgers decides to pack it in and take his job on Jeopardy or whatever other game show will have him. The Bears are right now in full rebuild. They have their quarterback, but they're going to have to fill in the blanks around him. And the Vikings, I don't know how long this window is going to be open for the Vikings because they wasted a lot of time with Mike Zimmer.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys are veterans. A lot of those guys are, they say it's a 4 or 5 year window. They've got to capitalize now. And so there could be a window of opportunity. And like you said, are you going to get a better option with Jared Goff? No, you might want to maybe get a project quarterback to put on the bench behind him and that can sit there for 3 or 4 years.
No. I think they should go out and draft a younger guy.
Right.
Get somebody in the 3rd, 4th round. Maybe you hit on him, maybe you don't. But you've got somebody that can play and help you win games and get through the transition. And one of the things that the Bills won the game but may have lost out overall due to the injury to Von Miller.
Oh
It
yeah,
looks
that
like
was huge.
it looks like he's torn his ACL. It looks like he's done for the year. And I got to be honest with you, that's the guy that they went to go out and get over the hump. And now I know they've still got some pass rushers. They've got Gregory Rousseau, who's stepped up. He started to play better. They've got Ed Oliver, who's not really a pass rusher, but he's an interior guy that can get after the quarterback. Jordan Phillips, another interior guy. They got Zach Lawson. They've got some dudes, but Von Miller
Not a
was the
game
guy that
changer.
was, yeah, he was the game changer that was supposed to get him over the hump. And I think that's going to hurt him. But I have to admit, I admit when I'm wrong. I
Yeah.
also pointed out pretty good when I'm right. This Malcolm Rodriguez kid from Oklahoma State, who's now starting for the Lions at linebacker, dude, that guy, oh, he is a stud. I loved him. Undersized. I think he was a walk-on at Oklahoma State, and was like a 6th or 7th round draft pick. And he's out there making plays all over the field for the Lions. I love that kid, and I think he's going to be a really good pro.
I mean, I don't know how good Dan Campbell is, but I got to say one thing: his teams play hard,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's kind of a. I hope they have patience with him. I like him. I like the fact that he is a old school type guy. He's not exactly in the mold of what you see the trend is in NFL football right now. The hot offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. He's kind of a guy who is a player, a second string player. He's kind of what they used to get to be coaches. So I'd like to see him get a chance. And I think I like we started out and you brought it up. I mean, Goff is only 29 years old.
Yeah, he's not that old.
So I mean, you can get 4 years out of him while he's training another quarterback, and he seems the team seems to like him.
Yeah.
They play for him. They play well with him. He's a guy who's seen a turnaround with the Rams. This might be another situation where he doesn't get to reap the rewards of it, but he definitely knows how to help build or change a culture. So I totally agree. Keep Goff around. The Giants against the Cowboys. I don't want to say there's nothing new, but I mean the holes are starting to see in the Giants. I mean they've got their coach in place, they got their GM in place, but these are Gettleman's players, and they were getting the most out of them early in the year. Things were breaking their way, but as well as I do, when you play as many close games as the Giants did, it tends to flip around later on in the year. You start losing those type of games because the ball bounces away from you. You get the penalty called on you at the wrong time. But I'm happy so far with the first step in what hopefully is a turnaround for the Giants. More importantly, what do you think about the Cowboys right now?
I don't know. I think the defense is legitimate. CeeDee Lamb is starting to play really good. I think getting Michael Gallup is helpful. I know they're really making a push for the guy who can't stay conscious on the plane in OBJ. But I don't know. I think the NFC is definitely up for grabs. I like the Eagles. I like the Vikings, obviously a little bit better than the Cowboys right now, but I think the Cowboys are right there. The next couple of weeks are going to be very telling for them. And, Dak threw 2 picks in this game and looked shaky at times, but then came back at the end and looked pretty good. And, everybody talks about Zeke Elliott being done. I hear that all the time. They need to go to Pollard. They need to get rid of Zeke. Oh, he's been just a sham since he got his contract. Dude, he had 16 carries for 92 yards and a touchdown on Thanksgiving. That's 6 yards a carry. And he had a 22-yarder, which is one of the longest runs he's had all year. And he's the best pass protecting running back in all of the NFL. So I think he's still got a little bit left in the tank. And I don't know, man. I got to be honest. This Micah Parsons kid is one of the best defensive players I've seen in a long time. I mean, his stat line every game is just ridiculous. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits. I mean, he's in the backfield, it seems like, every game. And the best thing about him is his versatility. If you need this guy to play middle linebacker, I'll do that. You need this kid to rush the passer, he can do that.
Nice.
But one thing I'll say about the Giants is your boys from Notre Dame are certainly helping that Giants defense. Jalen Smith, who the Cowboys didn't want,
Right.
he had 10 tackles, 7 solos on Thanksgiving, and Julian Love is having one of the best years of any defensive back in football. He had an interception, and he led the team in tackles, which you don't really want a corner.
Not from your backfield, no.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he's doing everything he can to help them on the back end.
They're, like I said, they're squeezing everything they can out of what they've got. But the problem is their holes become more obvious, and you'd love to see if they had a wide receiver. If Galladay had turned out to be what he was in Detroit, or one of these guys could have given them some weapon, some kind of way to stretch the field, get those safeties off the line of scrimmage, so Saquon's got a little bit more space.
Yeah.
They could do a little bit more coming out of the backfield, a tight end, something. They just don't have it.
No.
It's not gonna change anytime, not till after the draft.
No, I mean, when Richie James is your best wideout, you're in trouble, and that's kind of where they're at right now. Galladay's just didn't work out for them for whatever reason. They drafted Kadarius Toney very early in the draft. He's not even there anymore. So they need to definitely look at the tight end position, as well as they need to add some wide receivers. Now, Wan'Dale Robinson, I thought, was coming around as a rookie and playing pretty well, the kid out of Kentucky.
Yeah.
But he's done for the year and on the shelf with an injury. So
that's the other thing, is the Giants' injuries caught up with them in the last few weeks too, which they don't have depth with, which really hurt them. Then we had the Patriots-Vikings at night. Patriots hung around for a while, but in the end, the Vikings took charge in that. Patriots coming off a huge win against the Jets, who they still have the and we might as well talk about that right now, because we'll go to that game after this. But a huge win against the Jets, where they won 14 straight in their division, which is outrageous to think that one team can own another team for 7 years.
It can be done. The Buckeyes did it to the team up north.
But not usually in the pros. Not usually in the pros. Not that way. Although the Giants are having the same problem with the Cowboys, so I guess
it's true.
It's having the same thing. But that the end of that game. I mean, that game was tough to watch. A 3-3. I mean, you had to love defense to watch that game. And then when I saw that punt return, I was knocked off my couch going, "You're kidding me."
Why the hell did you even punt it to him? Is my point. I mean, why even? I mean, I know there hadn't been a punt returned for a touchdown all year in the NFL. I understand that, but why even give the guy a chance? The clock was going to run out, and if you just kick it out of bounds, angle it out of bounds, and then make them take a knee. I mean, they weren't going to take a shot at the end zone from there. I really didn't understand that. That was a coaching mistake, in my opinion.
Right, but also
we have to mention 2 yards in the second half by Zach Wilson.
Yeah, that would be him diving into the line one time. That's what he was worth. And the worst thing, the lack of maturity after the game, not showing, his respect for his teammates. It was a total collapse from him. I don't know if he is salvageable down the road, but for right now, I think the Jets have to ride Mike White. You can't go back to Zach Wilson now. It's Flacco and White's job the rest of the year to try and get this team to the playoffs. It's funny because you see that team. I'll make a couple. I thought they were going to be a bad team, or I thought they were overrated. They've shown me in most cases outside of the quarterback, they're a team that's ready to compete. I don't know if Mike White is quite the answer, though. I mean, remember last year he was great against Cincinnati, then he throws 4 interceptions against Buffalo.
Yeah, he was kind of a mixed bag, but I
Yeah.
mean, anything at this point is going to be better than Zach Wilson. As I
Well, yeah.
mentioned, I admit when I'm wrong. I also admit when I'm right. I told you years ago that I didn't understand what the hype was surrounding this kid out of BYU. I just didn't see it. I watched the
No,
tape. I watched him play live. I just don't see what somebody else is seeing.
I mean,
What's
the worst thing about it is you think if Justin Fields was on the Jets right now.
That's my whole point.
Yeah, I mean,
Mac Jones, Justin Fields. I mean, Trey Lance. Any of these guys.
well, Trey Lance will never know about, but Justin
I'm
Fields
just
and
saying,
Mac Jones.
anybody that was in that draft, I thought was better, and that was the biggest thing is they had the second pick in the draft, and this is the kid that you take. I just didn't understand it, and they missed on Sam Darnold, and then they went out and got this kid that looks almost exactly like him and plays just like him. So I don't get it.
It's a big swing and miss, but the thing about it, living in this area around Jet fans and the Jet media and the local sports talk show, I mean, they tend to overreact on these Jet quarterbacks, these young Jet quarterbacks. They put them in Canton before they've even thrown a pass, and that's the one thing I hope they pump the brakes and don't put all these expectations on Mike White to suddenly do what he did last week. Be a good quarterback. Be a game manager. Don't expect these 3 and 4 touchdown games from him the rest of the year. And that's the whole thing. He's not going to suddenly turn into Josh Allen. He doesn't have that type of talent. But he's a serviceable quarterback for now. And after the season, see what's available, see what you can go. But I don't see him being a long-term answer, at least not at this point.
Well, he doesn't have to be Josh Allen. The thing is, if you look at that Bears game, it's not like he was, just the whole thing was about him. The defense played good. They held Trevor Siemian and the Bears to 10 points, 0 points in the second half out of the Bears. And Mike White took what the defense gave him. I mean, he's 22 of 28, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. The biggest thing was no interceptions.
Right.
That's what they need is somebody that can not turn the ball over and get the ball to these wide receivers and let them go. I mean, Elijah Moore finally shut his mouth and got out the field. He looked good. Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, the 2 Ohio State guys, are two of the best wide receivers in the league, and they're both rookies.
Right.
They just need somebody to get the ball to these guys and let them do their thing. And that's what
Mike point guard.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Let's look. Okay, one thing I want to bring up because the game it means nothing, but the sight of the linebacker from the Broncos getting in Russell Wilson's face, that team is in total spiral and disarray. I mean, that nobody even came over to defend Russell Wilson. Even his own offensive lineman said, "Yeah, go ahead, take him out."
No, this is a perfect segue because we were just talking about how bad Sam Darnold is, and he actually got the win. Versus Russell Wilson. I mean, this I think just goes to show you that there's a total disconnect between the coach Russell Wilson and the rest of the team. As I told you a couple of weeks ago, I've heard from some of my buddies that I know that played at Ohio State and played in the NFL, and they've got friends that are still in the NFL. Supposedly, Russell Wilson doesn't speak to the other guys on the team outside of practice. He won't talk to them. If they want to call him, he tells them that they need to speak to his agent.
Oh,
and so, I think Russ, as I've mentioned to you several times, he's more concerned with being celebrity than he is being a quarterback. And, I don't think he's much of a celebrity, but he's definitely a better celebrity than he is a quarterback right now. This is horrible. And you know what? Old Nathaniel Hackett's going to get fired before the season's over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the thing I heard today was that Russell Wilson is ranked 33rd. He's the 33rd ranked quarterback in the NFL. There's only 32 teams.
Yeah.
That is just hard to do.
Yes, he has been. I mean, let's just be honest. He's been horrible. And, there's just nothing good to say. And once again, I feel horrible for this team because their defense has played pretty well. This wasn't their best game, but they played pretty well. and Russ can just do nothing to help them out. He's got right now 8 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
That is not good.
I mean, that's
How do you have 8? How do you have 8 touchdown passes all year? How the hell is that possible?
That's Daniel Jones type stats, and Daniel Jones doesn't have any wide receivers.
Yeah.
If you had a couple wide receivers, you might have double that. I mean, you should have by now a legit quarterback should be somewhere 15 or more touchdowns for the year, something like that. At least.
Most of them are around that area that have played in several games. I mean, hell, Justin Fields has 13 touchdown passes, and he doesn't have anyone to throw to, and has
he's running for his life half the game,
and he has no offensive line. He has to run for 200 yards a game to even come close to winning it. So, it's a disaster. I don't even know what to say because this team's going nowhere fast. They're 3-8 now, and like we just talked about, they got slamboozled by the Carolina Panthers, who've already fired their coach, and they're on their third, fourth quarterback right now.
Yeah, they're in their third quarterback, and I guess Darnold won enough to stay another week. I don't know.
Who knows? I think that they have a little dartboard in the coach's office, and they throw darts, and whichever one they hit, that's who starts that week. PJ Walker. He's up.
I've said it before. I mean, I don't know what Steve Wilkes is doing because it's not like he's going to get the job. So, I mean, I don't know why he's even screwing with it. Just put a quarterback in, name a quarterback, just stick with it, whatever. The Falcons, the Commanders, I mean, the Heineke he's got some magic there. You sit there and you watch them play since he's been a starting quarterback, and he wins. He may not be pretty, but he wins. So
I'm pretty sure that's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It should
this
be.
Is kind of what me and you talked about last year. Is why didn't they just go with Heineke to begin with? They gave up a ton of capital to bring Carson Wentz in, who's on his third team in 3 years. So I'm not sure what the plan there was. I mean, I say they drafted Sam Howell. I was like, go ahead and throw Taylor Heineke out there and see how he does. But instead, they start Carson Wentz off. He goes 1-5, and 1-4, 1-5, and then they put Heineke in. Thank goodness Carson Wentz got hurt for them because they've been on a tear since. And what about Brian Robinson Jr.? I was kind of surprised he didn't get drafted higher than he did after that phenomenal season at Bama. Yeah. And now the last 5 or 6 weeks, he's been one of the best running backs in the league and had 18 carries for 105 yards against Atlanta and was one of the big reasons they won that game.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that later on in the broadcast because Giants Commanders, it's a big game for the Giants to try and eke something out and get back on the winning track. But right now the Commanders look like they're rolling and the Giants are reeling. So we'll see what happens there. Bengals are a better team than the Titans right now. I mean, Joe Burrow's a better quarterback.
Yeah.
And, it was funny. I heard somebody talking on Sports Talk, whatever, and they pointed out a great fact about Joe Burrow is you sit there and there's a lot of good young quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And right now, Justin Fields will be, if he can turn the Chicago around, he'd be what this guy said about Joe Burrow. He goes, when he arrived in Cincinnati, they were a mess. And he's got him in to being one of the better teams in the AFC. I mean, when you talk about great young quarterbacks, I'm not trying to take anything away from Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes walked into a playoff team.
Yeah.
Josh Allen walked into a playoff ready team to turn around. Joe Burrow walked into a trash dump fire, and he has just single-handedly put them on the map.
They're not that much better now. I mean, they've done pretty good in the draft as far as giving him some weapons. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon's a good running back. But think about it. On Sunday, Joe Mixon didn't play. Jamar Chase didn't play.
Right.
Tyler Boyd only had 2 catches. I mean, their number one back was Samaje Perine, and they still beat the Tennessee Titans. So I mean, Joe Burrow is a top 3 quarterback in this league, and I'm not so sure that he's not the best. I don't. This is not coming from a Joe Burrow fan. Obviously, he turned his back on my Buckeyes, so I've got no love for him. But I'm just being honest on what I see. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the best.
And then we have the Buccaneers going down to the Browns, which was fun to watch. I mean, it's that whole division right now. We're going to see, I guess, on Monday night they got New Orleans, Tampa Bay, which they're the people at ESPN must be crying that they're stuck with that game. And it's going to be, all we'll hear is Brady, Brady, Brady all night long. But, you can't mask the fact that he hasn't been able to raise this team up. He hasn't been able to get them to play better. I mean, the Browns right now, it was before Deshaun Watson's coming back. You're playing against Jacoby Brissett. You should be able to beat the Browns, who are a mess themselves.
Yeah, and the Bucs have some injuries, but let's be honest. I mean, he had Chris Godwin. He's got Julio Jones. He's got Mike Evans. He's got Cameron Brate. He's got Brashad Perriman. He's got Keyshawn Vaughn. He's got Rachaad White, who's a good little rookie running back. It's not like he doesn't have weapons out there. They're just not good, not a good football team. And, I don't know whether to blame the coaching staff.
That's who's going to take it.
That's
who's going to get blamed.
Brady is not going to, they're not going to blame the GOAT or the supposed GOAT. They're going to put this all on the head coach. And I feel bad for him. But me and you talked about this before the season. We're like, if things go wrong, there's going to be one guy that falls on the sword.
I feel so far. It was so bad for that coach because the Jets hung him out to dry with Sam Darnold, when he was up in the Meadowlands. And now he's got an aging Brady who's not the quarterback he used to be and a dysfunctional team. And I don't know if it helps having Bruce Arians. I think Bruce Arians is sick right now or whatever, but I don't think it helped having him looking over his shoulder just as well, too, and voicing his opinion. So I don't know. But
yeah, either you're the coach or you're not is kind of how I look at it. And if you are no longer, the head coach of the Buccaneers, what the hell are you doing there?
Get out of Todd Bowles' way.
It's not fair. It's not fair. And then he's yelling at people on the sideline, yelling at the refs and getting out on the field. And it's like, this is just a shit show. Not the coach anymore.
Yeah, it's like, for lack of a better example, the press is going to go to you because they know you're going to say something. Just like for the Dallas Cowboy coaches, they always know to go to Jerry Jones because he's going to say something that they could use as a headline. So, you're not helping your team. You're not helping your coach any when you're sitting there being the spokesperson. Let him be the spokesperson.
Yeah.
So
he's the coach. You're the offensive analyst. So shut your mouth and get behind the scenes.
Exactly. Now the other thing, the surprising thing, but now this has been a long sample size now. The Ravens lose to the Jaguars. The Raven defense, is that a defense that can get them through the playoffs?
I don't think so. I mean, think about what they've done the last 4 or 5 weeks. They added Jason Pierre-Paul. They traded for Roquan Smith. They've gotten some guys back healthy. They drafted Kyle Hamilton. But they've got the same defensive coordinator that they've had all year. And this guy, I know the Harbaugh family loves him, but I don't. I'm watching the Giant defense with the Ravens coordinator from last year.
Yeah.
And they look like what the Ravens defense should look. I mean, think about this.
Give him Roquan Smith.
No
Smith on the Giants.
No shit. And 18 points they gave up in the fourth quarter and could not get a stop when they had to. I mean, 2 points. They go down and give up the touchdown pass. Okay, that's bad enough. And then you give up the 2-point conversion as well to lose the game. I feel bad for Lamar because he's doing everything he can, and this defense just is giving him no help. I mean, the Ravens put up 15 points in the fourth quarter. It's just they couldn't stop the Jaguars, and that's just unacceptable. And I to answer your question, my response is no. I just think this defense is a liability for the Ravens, and I don't think they're going to get very far with them.
No. Other teams that we're sticking around talking about. Okay, the Dolphins took care of the Texans, no surprise there. Chargers squeaked by the Cardinals. I mean, are we seeing the end of the coaching staff of the Cardinals now? I mean, I hear the things I'm hearing or reading about is Sean Payton thinks that's one of the places he might want to go to. I don't know if that's just speculation or if he's putting out feelers or what. But, I mean, Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, last year you had the huge collapse. This year you had never got going. And you spent all that money on Kyler Murray. So someone's going to have to take the fall for this.
Yeah, and it's not going to be Kyler. I mean, Kyler is locked up now with that big-time contract. He's got the money. He's not going anywhere. But he's not really – I mean, he just doesn't look good to me. He looks kind of like he doesn't care.
Right.
And, it came out this week from Patrick Peterson, his former teammate, that, Kyler Murray only cares about Kyler Murray. And I'm like, that looks pretty much right. He's fighting with the coach. He's yelling at his teammates. He ever since the new Call of Duty came out, his stats have gone down because he's playing video games more than he's watching film. It's just a disaster right now in Arizona, and they are 1-6 at home.
One thing to say, just to tell Kyler, this is not too late. You're not too old to enlist. If you really want to fight a war, go enlist somewhere. You don't want to play football, go enlist.
Yeah, I mean, too bad that contract is pretty much guaranteed because they can't get out from under him now. No, and we talked about it. We didn't like the contract when it happened. We didn't understand why they did that when they did. It's not like he doesn't have any weapons. He's got DeAndre Hopkins. He's got Hollywood Brown. He's got Robbie Anderson. He's got AJ Green. What the hell's the problem? He can't throw for 200 yards with those guys?
No.
Especially against the banged up Chargers defense.
Yeah. And then the Chargers still hanging around. I don't know if I believe in their coach yet. They're a 500 team. The quarterback deserves much better. But like you said, their defense is banged up. So I guess they're just going to have to hopefully hang around long enough to squeeze in one of the last couple of spots, which we'll talk about in a little while. The Seahawks dropped to the Raiders. Not totally shocking, but is this the dawning of the new Seahawks of this year? Where they're going to go through what the Giants are going through, where things that went their way is not going to go their way. What do you think?
That seems to be kind of what's happening. I mean, the crazy thing is that their offense is continuing to produce. I mean, Geno Smith is still playing some pretty good football. It's just their defense has been unable to stop anybody. And even with Derek Carr throwing 2 interceptions, they weren't able to get the Raiders off the field towards the end of the game. I mean, I just didn't understand why they could not get a stop no matter what they did. And giving up 230 yards to one player in the NFL, that's just absolutely ridiculous. 33 carries, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns to Josh Jacobs. They knew he was getting the ball. Everyone knew he was getting the ball, and yet he just ran right over the Seahawks. And if they can't shore up that run defense, they're not going anywhere.
And meanwhile, their running back was shut down by the Raiders. So it was a total reversal on the other side. What do you have? Like 30 yards?
Yeah, he had 26 yards on 14 carries. That's 1.9 per touch. That's not good. And, I was impressed with the defensive line of the Raiders. They looked much improved. And I've got to be honest, this guy, Mad Max Crosby, holy crap, that guy is unbelievable. He had 6 quarterback hits. He had a sack and a half. He had a tackle for loss, 3 other solo tackles. That guy has a nonstop motor, and he was one of the big reasons why the Raiders won this game. He was in the backfield in Geno's face all throughout the fourth quarter and overtime.
Now, one thing, getting back to Walker on the Seahawks, do you think he's getting the rookie wall right now? It's the 13th game.
Yeah, I don't think so, because he didn't really start that much at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
He didn't really get going until the 4th or 5th week, so I don't know if it's that. But it just seems like there's not really the holes that were there previously. So I don't know whether they're just not facing or they're facing better defenses, or they're just not blocking as well. I'm not really sure, but the last couple of weeks he's struggled. Now, he did still have 2 touchdowns,
Right.
but he's not getting those big chunk yardage that he was getting there for a while. Now, DK Metcalf had a pretty good game, but he also had a couple crucial drops. So we'll see what happens with the Seahawks. But they're still 6-5. They're still right in the hunt. If they can fix this run defense, I think they still got a chance. It's just that's a big if.
Yeah, and I have to look at the tiebreakers. I know they get the tiebreaker against the Giants. I don't know if they have the tiebreaker against Washington. I think they do.
I believe they do.
So, I mean, they're in really good shape for the playoffs at least. Niners took care of business against the Saints. Not a surprise. Would have liked to see, if I'm a Niner fan, I'd like to see more than 13 points with that offense they got against the Saints. But the defense pitched a shutout, and they got out of town with a win, and they're in first place.
Yeah.
The Rams are done. They're done more than ways than one, I guess, this year. So, and then we go take a look at the Packers-Eagles, where now Aaron Rodgers, let's see, we had the broken thumb, now we got the broken ribs. Everybody's saying let's go to Jordan Love, or to see what he can do for him the rest of the year, or what he's got. I don't think it would be a bad idea to go this week with him, since he's so, Rodgers is so beat up. I don't know about the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't think they're mathematically eliminated yet. So I don't know if you can just say you're throwing in the towel. One more thing on the Niners, Elijah Mitchell is out again, placed on IR with an additional injury. He just came off of IR and was really bolstering that run game.
Yeah.
Where do the Niners go now? They traded away Jeff Wilson. They got rid of Mostert. They got rid of Breida. They got rid of
Sermon.
Yeah, they got rid of Trey Sermon. They have no running backs left except for Christian McCaffrey. And God, he's held together by paper clips and Band-Aids.
I never liked him giving up on Trey Sermon. I thought, Trey Sermon is one of those guys, that he may be a little bit of a project, but he showed at Ohio State what he could do. And
Oklahoma.
Yeah, to give up on a young running back that early. I mean, he's cheap. He's healthy. There was no reason to give up on him, to me. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I don't understand why they got rid of everybody. They got rid of Mostert. They traded Jeff Wilson in the middle of the season. They cut Trey Sermon before the season began, and now they're kind of Christian McCaffrey or bust. And with Elijah Mitchell being there, I understood why they felt like they were in pretty good place. But they drafted Tyrion Davis Price, and he's really done nothing all year long. He's been banged up too. So if Christian McCaffrey goes down, he's already listed as questionable for this week. They're going to have no run game, which everything they do is predicated on their run. Right. So I think this offense could be in big trouble. If Christian McCaffrey is not 100%, and he's not.
Well, hopefully we'll see. You're right. All he needs is one hard hit or one hard game, and he's done. Back to the Packers. The Eagles got back on track, took care of business. The Packers put up 33 points on them, but most late. I think it was a couple of late scores, right?
Well, right. It was a crazy game. I mean, the Eagles went up 13-0, and they were like in complete command of this game. And then they just couldn't cover a kick. and Green Bay kept running the ball back to the 50-yard line or beyond
Right.
and having a short field. And they, eventually took the lead 14-13. But then the Eagles came back and scored 2 touchdowns quickly and got back up. And then the Packers came back a little bit, but it wasn't as close as the final score indicated because the Packers did put up 10 points in the fourth quarter. But, I was a little bit concerned about the Eagles defense because they were a little bit shaky in the secondary. But, part of that was due to, one of their best players, CJ Gardner-Johnson, suffering a lacerated kidney in this game.
That's an ugly injury.
Yeah, I mean, not only is he, in questionable coming back the rest of the season. I mean, he's in for a rough go of it the next few weeks. Now, I was very, very impressed with the run defense of the Eagles. They brought in Ndamukong Suh. They brought in Linval Joseph. They got Fletcher Cox healthy now, and he's playing better. And they were able to slow down Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. They held them to about 100 yards between the two of them.
Right.
And that was good enough to get it done. So, the Eagles defense kind of flashes. They kind of play tough when they need to. But, the big thing about this game was the reason they won, Jalen Hurts, 17 carries for 157 yards. Miles Sanders, 21 carries for 143 yards. They had almost 400 yards rushing in this game. It was absolutely unbelievable to watch, and I loved every minute of it.
All right, and just one quick go over for a Monday night game. Kenny Pickett's not looking too bad right now.
No, I mean, this goes back to what me and you talked about quite a bit at the beginning of the season. We didn't understand why they didn't just start Kenny Pickett from the beginning. Right. They knew that they weren't going to, be the best team in the league. I just didn't understand. I mean, maybe they didn't feel like he was ready. But the only way that you really learn in this league is to get out there and play.
Right.
And I just didn't understand. He wasn't really learning anything watching Mitch Trubisky play.
He wasn't going to pick up any tips.
He certainly wasn't. He wasn't going to get better watching Mitch play.
No, in film room, you just tell him, don't do what he does.
Yeah, watch what Mitch does and do the opposite. And maybe that's what they were telling him. I don't know. But he's starting to look better. He's starting to realize, throws that he can't make, throws that he can make. He's starting to, go through his progressions. And I was pretty impressed with him in this game. I mean, the Colts, say what you want to about the Colts, but, they are fighting hard. They're not a very good football team, but they are, trying to win these games. And I think they realized that the Steelers game was one that they could possibly have a chance to win. And the only problem was they have a guy who's never coached an NFL game in his life trying to win it at the end and doesn't realize that he's got 3 timeouts and lets the clock run out. It was an absolute joke.
And maybe he should have brought down Peyton Manning as his offensive coordinator to tell him to do those kind of things. Peyton loves saying on Monday night when he's doing the broadcast, timeout. So he knows how to do that.
Oh, was he telling him that?
No, they didn't run on this week, but
gotcha. Well, no, I don't understand. How is there not? I saw him like pushing his headset back sometimes, and I'm like, somebody needs to go make sure he's got his headset on because the guy up in the booth needs to be telling him, call a timeout. Yeah. And I was trying to figure out, I understand Jeff Saturday doesn't know what the hell he's doing, but surely to God, Matt Ryan should know what he's doing. I mean, when he gets sacked. Right there on third, it's now third down. He gets sacked on it's 3rd and 17, and they don't call a timeout. Then he runs it, and he gets up there, within a yard or 2 yards, 3 yards, whatever it was, and now it's 4th and 3, and he doesn't call a timeout then. And I'm just like, what are they doing? They're going to let the entire clock run out, and then they were rushing around because there wasn't any time left. They managed that clock horribly at the end of the game, and that cost them the whole deal.
Well, yeah, and that's what, like you said, that's the kind of experience you get for being on a staff and watching someone. You look at Vrabel. I mean, he was on the Chiefs staff. You can't get a better coaching lesson than that. So I mean, those are kind of things.
In the Patriots. And then he coached also under Bill O'Brien and Romeo Crennel on the Houston staff as well. So he earned his stripes, and that's why he knows what the hell he's doing.
All right, this weekend we have some games coming up that everything has playoff implications now, but these are teams that look like they're going to be in the playoffs, and some are in different leagues, but the ones in the same league, let's start off Chiefs Bengals. Chiefs looking for revenge after the playoff loss last year to the Bengals. Big game for the Bengals to get back into it. I mean, they're right on the Ravens' tail right now. They're tied in record, but I think the Ravens won their one time they played. If I'm right, am I
Yep,
right on
you're
that?
right. Yeah. The Ravens are actually ahead just due to the tiebreaker. That's correct.
Right. So, Chiefs Bengals, big game this week. Chiefs coming off a cakewalk with the Rams, and I don't know. Every time I watch the Chiefs, I admire everything they do, but damn, it gets sickeningly. It get the way Kelsey and Mahomes at key points can find each other and just destroy what a defense does. It's kind of frustrating to watch if you're not a Chief fan. If you're a Chief fan, you got to sit there and go, "My God, we're watching two of the greatest players at their position play right now."
I'm not so sure that Travis Kelsey isn't the greatest tight end I've ever seen. I mean, you know what's coming. I know what's coming. You don't think that the other NFL coaches know what's coming? They know that they're trying to get him the ball. They bracket him. They single cover him with their best cover guy. They double team him. They do pretty. If you watch during the game, they'll rotate coverage. They'll try different things. They'll go man. They'll go zone. Nothing works because he's so good about running routes. He's so good about finding the soft spots in the zone. He's good at what they call man beaters, running routes that are designed to beat man coverage. He knows. He's so intelligent, and he's such a good athlete, and such a physical dude that he just really can't be stopped. Not to mention he's got the guy pulling the trigger back there that can make all the throws.
And also can buy more time for him to find those spots. So
get open.
It's a perfect situation. But this has got to be a game you're worried about if you're the Bengals because you got away with it a little bit in the playoffs last year. Can you do it twice to these guys? Can that Bengal defense hold up against them?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that the Bengals are going to run into a buzzsaw here. I mean, I don't know if Joe Mixon's going to play. I know he's still questionable. I know that Jamar Chase is still questionable. Even if those guys do play, how healthy are they? I'm not sure. But I just think it's going to be really tough for the offense to keep up with them because I just don't think the defense is going to be able to stop them.
I totally agree. Then across the number one in the NFC, the Eagles have the Titans, who are coming off a tough loss to the Bengals. The Eagles right now 10-1. Can Vrabel come up with something for this? I don't know. I don't know if he can.
I don't know either. It's been tough going for the Titans defense the last few weeks. They haven't been able to, for whatever reason, get it done. I think they're really missing, their pass rusher who got injured at the beginning of the season. They lost, Harold Landry the third. He went down right before the season began, and I think that's been a big loss for him. And Jeffrey Simmons is a little banged up. Denico Autry is also banged up. And Deshaun Hand is on IR. So I think that's a problem for the Titans. And I just don't know if they're going to be able to stop this Eagles attack. I mean, they can throw it, they can run it, and I think they're going to go right at the Titans and try and wear them down. You got to think too, Caleb Farley, their draft pick out of Virginia Tech, the cornerback, he's on IR now. Chris Jackson's on IR. AJ Moore is on IR. My whole point is the defense for the Titans is banged up.
Yeah. And then we have Miami going up against the Niners. We were just talking about the Niners situation with Mitchell being out. But I think just the bigger question is, can this defense slow down that Miami prolific offense? And what do you think? I think they have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Niners defense is going to play well. I mean, they are one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best. But I just don't think that the Niners are going to be able to keep up with them offensively. I mean, the as we just talked about, their whole offense is predicated on that run game. Even if the run game's not working, they have to at least have the threat of it to run their passing game and run their play action. And if they can't get that running game going with basically no running backs healthy, it's going to be tough. And I'm taking the Dolphins in this one, even though the Niners are favored by 4 points.
Mm. Well, that's always that can always be a little bit of a shade to get people to bet on the right side of the coin.
I'm going
Another
to.
game that's going to be really interesting here for me, for local people here, Jets Vikings. Now here's going to be the Mike White situation. I mean, this is the game. Can he? Doesn't have to throw 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions in this game, but can he run the team as efficiently as he did last week against the Vikings?
I'm going to say no. I just, we've seen this story before. I mean, he's a good story. I like him. He played well last week, but this is not the Chicago Bears. The Vikings offense is going to, create situations where he's going to have to score. He's going to have to get points on the board to keep up with Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. And I just think that's going to be too much pressure on him. And I think the Vikings are going to take care of it, especially considering they're at home in US Bank Stadium. They played pretty well at home this year. The Vikings are 5-1. Their only loss coming to the Eagles. So I'm picking the Vikings in this one. They seem to be rolling right now. And, except for that, what was it, the loss to the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really the only time they've looked rough. Other than that, they've been pretty good, and I expect them to take care of business against the Jets this weekend.
And my friend used to say, you always have a glitch like that in the middle of a championship run. It doesn't really make a difference. You have one bad game, you bounce back.
They're
The other game
9-2.
the other game I wanted to talk about is tonight's game, the Bills Patriots. It's kind of a last gasp for the Patriots, I think, for this season. If they're going to make any kind of a playoff run, they're still mathematically in the playoffs, but realistically, they need to beat somebody like this to make anybody believe in it. I mean, everybody knows they got the Jets numbers. I mean, but this is a game they got to show they can win.
I agree. They're not playing the Jets. They can't play the Jets every weekend.
Right.
That's the problem with the Patriots is they only get to play the Jets twice, and maybe 3 times if they make the playoffs. But I don't think they're all going to make it. Not all 4 of them. And this is a big game. I agree with you. They're at home in Gillette Stadium. They're 3-2 at home this year. Not really like the Patriots of old that could win every single game at home. That's not really what we've seen. But I did like what I saw. I know they lost to the Vikings, but I liked what I saw out of their offense last week.
Mac Jones looked good.
Yeah, he threw for 382 yards, threw for a couple touchdowns. He doesn't have a whole lot of great options, wide receiver, really. I mean, that wide receiver core is kind of a joke, but he did well with what he had to work with last week, and I do feel like this is kind of a must win for them. They're 6-5. They're 3-2 at home. They're coming into Gillette Stadium against the Bills, who've already beat them once, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I think they've got to get this one done. And the Bills are favored by 4 points, so you got to get them fired up for that.
I just checked the weather, and unless Belichick can get out there and do a rain dance and get that wind he had last year when he needed on that game where Mac Jones only threw the ball 3 times.
Yeah.
That's kind of the game. He needs weather like that tonight.
Yeah, it's 43 degrees right now in Gillette Stadium, and I bet the Patriots want it to get a whole lot colder because they want to run the ball. But, the problem is Damian Harris is banged up. And I got to be honest with you, between the 2 guys, Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris, I like Damian Harris better. But it looks like he's inactive. He's not going to play. Isaiah Wynn is also inactive. Jalen Mills is out. Sean Wade is out. Carl Davis is out. They got a bunch of dudes banged up right now on the Patriots.
This could be a long, long night. All right, let's. Do Do you have your players of the week from last week?
I do. Hang on one second. Let me pull them up here. You can go first if you like.
Well, I started out with Trevor Lawrence. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, over 300 yards passing. He's starting to show, and he's growing into being the quarterback everybody thinks he's going to be. Will he be a generational quarterback? Who knows? But he's showing that he's got the goods to be an effective quarterback in the NFL because Jacksonville's not very good right now.
Yeah.
And he played against a very good. He went toe to toe to Lamar, and he came away with a win.
Yeah.
So I'll take him on that one. And then I got Mike White second. I'm going to give something to Mike White. A lot of the spotlight on him. A lot of people might have walked in there and thrown up a freaking wounded ducks all over the place, but he took care of business. He got it done. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then Josh Jacobs was my third guy.
Yeah, I had Josh Jacobs as well. I don't think you can leave him off your list. And as you said, Mike White was very impressive, but I also had Nick Chubb on my list. He had a hell of a game against. Think about Tampa Bay is known for their defense. They're known to be a run-stopping defense. He still had 26 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown. I was very, very impressed with him. And then I got to be honest, man. I mean, the Patriots knew. You know how Bill Belichick's kind of known for taking away the best guy. Whoever it may be, he always puts his best corner on him, has some scheme to shut him down. Well, I'm sure he probably did that, but yet Justin Jefferson still had 9 catches for 139 yards.
Yeah, he's amazing. He was
the difference. So I had to put Justin Jefferson on there, Nick Chubb, and Josh Jacobs. Those were my 3.
All right, and then I had the last time we picked, I went 3-0, so I'm 20-13 on the year.
I was, hold on one second here. I've got it right below me. You were 20-13?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm 19-14. I was 2-1 last week, so I guess I'm 1 behind you now.
Yeah, we are in the competition.
Yep.
And you want to give your picks of the week?
Yeah, I've got it. As I mentioned earlier, one of them is the Dolphins. They are playing the 49ers in San Francisco. Got to go across the country. I understand all that, but the 49ers are favored by 4, so I'm going to take the Dolphins and the points. Also, the Jets and the Vikings, as we talked about, the Vikings are favored by 3. I'm going to take the Vikings anyway. I think they're going to get it done. And then I'm also taking the Lions. They're playing the Jaguars at home. The Jaguars are favored by 1. A lot of people on the Jaguars bandwagon, but I feel like Jared Goff's going to get it done this week. I liked how they played on Thanksgiving Day, and I feel like they're going to win this one.
I'm going all freaky this week. I'm going with all underdogs. And I'm picking 3 teams that, quite frankly, aren't very good right now. I'm taking the Rams getting 7 from the Seahawks. Denver getting 8.5 from Baltimore. And Houston getting 7 from Cleveland.
Wow, with Deshaun Watson, huh?
Yeah, I think he's going to be rusty. I think he's going to, he hasn't played in 2 years. 2 years. And I know Houston's not a very good team, but Lovie Smith is a defensive kind of guy. And I could see Watson making some mistakes.
Yeah, he didn't look real good in the preseason when he got out there. So I agree with you. It's a hard sell to think that he's going to just come out not playing in the NFL. I mean, these guys all get paid to play football,
right?
And he chose to sit out one season, and then by touching his massage therapist, they forced him to sit out the second season. So he hasn't played in 2 years. And I agree with you. I don't think it's going to look real good out there. And you know who I feel bad for is Jacoby Brissett. That guy's gone out there and done everything he can to try and win games. The games that they didn't win, I can't really put it all on him. I know they're 4-7 and it hasn't looked great at times, but this guy's impressed me. And, you know, if I'm a team, Maybe not a starter, but if I'm a team that needs a veteran backup or a veteran to teach my rookie quarterback, the first guy I'm calling is Jacoby Brissett, because that guy has a heart of gold and, played pretty well at times. He's thrown for 2,600 yards and 12 touchdowns this year. I like what I've seen out of him.
If he gets his mindset in the right place, he can have a nice career like Ryan Fitzpatrick did.
I agree.
Be that kind of guy. You're going to be moving around the league. You're going to get your chance to start at times. You're going to be a backup that comes in with the injury at times. But hey, Fitzpatrick had a nice long career.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. Just go somewhere where, maybe he has to compete for the job. Maybe they got two veterans and he has to win it. Or maybe they've got a young rookie guy and they want Jacoby to bring him along. Well, maybe Jacoby wins the job out of camp and maybe the team wins a little bit and he gets to play all year. That's what I'm thinking. He just needs to go to the right spot and get in a good situation for him where he can compete for the job.
I mean, if you're looking, a great place for him to go if you ever want to get to Cleveland right now is go to Chicago and back up Justin Fields.
Yeah,
be his eyes on the sideline, and then if Justin gets hurt, you got a guy that can go right in there. I mean, there's plenty of places he could go and just be that veteran presence for the guy, the young quarterback, and also if he ever got hurt, he's right there.
Yeah, go to New York, back up Daniel Jones. Compete with him, push Daniel Jones. I mean,
I'll take him in a minute.
That's the kind of guy he needs. But yeah, I mean, I love this dude. And, I love seeing him after the win against Tom Brady. He came up to the podium and he's like, that felt fucking great. Like he was making fun of Tom Brady from a couple weeks ago when he got the win over there in Germany and was, he's like, no disrespect to Brady, but that felt fucking awesome. And I loved it, man. I thought it was really cool. And he had a good game. I mean, 23 of 37, 210 yards. He had the one pick, but he got sacked 4 times, and he just kept going. And that pass to that catch by David Njoku in the end zone was unbelievable. And a couple of those throws to Amari Cooper were pretty special.
Yeah, when he hasn't been able to keep it in contention, but that's nothing to do with them. I think that's just a total breakdown in the upper echelons of the Browns from ownership through coaching as to why they're having problems, because they should be much, much better than they are right now. But we will see. We got playoffs.
Yeah, we got a lot of things going down this weekend. We're going to break down the college football playoff rankings. We're also going to dissect obviously conference championship Saturday. We got the Big 12 championship with Kansas State and TCU. That's a big game with playoff implications. We've also got USC with a rematch with Utah. Unbelievable game the first time, 43-42. Utah came out on top. Going to break down that one. Also, we got Georgia, obviously, versus LSU to talk about. Don't know if anybody missed the show. We actually did the show on Tuesday. This week, or Monday, this week. Was it Monday? Tuesday? I don't know what day it is.
Tuesday.
I think it was Tuesday, but we had former 2-time All-American offensive lineman from Penn State, Jeff Hardings, on the show. Obviously was an All-Pro with the Steelers, Super Bowl winner, and now is a coach for Worthington Christian in Ohio. We talked about, just all the changes that have occurred in college football since he played, the evolution of the Big Ten, the kids getting paid now. We talked a little Joe Pa. We talked a little expansion.
What do you have to say about Joe Pa?
A lot of stuff. I mean, I don't want to give it all away. Everybody needs to go to main coverage and check it out. Yeah. No, but he did. He talked about what it was like having Joe Pa recruit him and what it was like playing for Joe Pa and his staff, and just kind of about what he had to do to get on the field, because he was very adamant that he wasn't the biggest guy, he wasn't the strongest guy, he wasn't the fastest guy, but he was one of the hardest working guys, and that's why Joe Pa liked him, and that's why Joe Pa recruited him. And I don't know if you know this, but Jeff played in high school for St. Henry High School, which is the same school that produced Bobby Hoeing. And so a lot of teams were going in to St. Henry, Ohio, to watch Bobby play, and he said that's how he was able to get noticed. And he says he sends a Christmas present every year to Bobby for getting him a scholarship to Happy Valley.
Well, that's good. I'll tell you, that's one of the heartbreaking things of my life as a sports fan was the way Joe Pa's career ended. Because I can go on and on about it. I think a lot of it was not his fault. I understand ignorance is bliss, and he maybe could have been a bigger hero. But the way everybody made him complicit in what was going on, and I don't think he was complicit as much as he was an old man trying to hang on to the past. And unfortunately, it came back to bite him.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of blame to go around, but I didn't understand why it all gets focused on the most polarizing figure.
Right.
They don't want to go at, everybody doesn't, no one knows what the name of the president is. No one knows what the name of the AD is, but everybody knows Jopa. So they shot all the blame on him. And I'm like, Jopa kind of did what he was supposed to do. He heard some noise. He reported it to his bosses, which were the athletic director and the president, and they did absolutely nothing about it.
Well, and you, because your other job is law. Well, I think you'll back me up on this. I know because of being in corporate America, it's always said once the lawyers get involved, don't say anything, don't do anything. Let the lawyers take care of it.
Well, I'm sure that's what they told him. They told him probably to keep his mouth shut and that they would take care of it, and they didn't.
Right, and I'll say this to not to make this show go on forever, even though it'd be fun to do, but I think a lot of it had to do also that there is a portion of the alumni. He's an 80-year-old man. They wanted to get rid of him. He wasn't winning national championships anymore. He wasn't contending for the Big Ten, and they thought it was time to move him out, and they found some of the people in the Alumni Association found an easy excuse.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, once that all went down, the only way for the university to move on and to continue to keep making money was to out with the old, in with the new. Right. So there was no way that he was going to keep his job. But the way, that they just dismantled his legacy, I thought was BS. Yeah. And, it broke him. I mean, the guy died.
I know.
A couple months later. And I believe they took his damn statue down too, correct?
Yeah, they put it back up again.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. They did reinstate it. They tried to bring it back. But,
so his statue's up?
Yeah. As far as I know it is.
Well, but he's dead, so it doesn't really help him. But
the damage was done.
It should be up because, Jerry Sandusky's the bad guy here.
Right.
Jerry Sandusky is the sexual predator. He is the if you want to be angry at somebody, be angry at that guy. I don't understand why we wanted to try and crucify Jopa.
Not for nothing, but before everything came to light, I'm not sure what the timeline is on this. And I like I said, I don't want to go down with it out there, but I mean, he was the one who said Sandusky will never be the head coach here because the rumor was always Sandusky would replace him whenever he retired or when moved on to the pros or whatever. And he was like, he'll never coach here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you ever heard this is a story for another day, but there was a Penn State player who actually was a serial killer and a rapist. Did you ever hear about this guy? No. He was a big time recruit, and I'll send you this article. But it's crazy to hear about this guy. Came there. He ended up he was stealing stuff, and he got kicked off the team. But they later found out that he had was a serial rapist and actually, I believe, killed somebody. And so that was another one that they pinned on Jopa. Even though he was the one that ended up finding out about this dude and kicking him off the team. So, just blame it all on Jopa. Jopa's the reason for all the world's problems.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a guy who, for the first, 50 years of his coaching career could do no wrong. And then for the last 10, like I said, mostly because he wasn't winning anymore, big championships, suddenly it was like, now we don't want Jopa. So anyways.
His name was Todd Hodney, Hodne,
Look him
was
up.
his name, but I'll send you this article. It was a
Cool.
crazy story.
Well, there's been bad ones out there. We know that. So unfortunately, or fortunately, good ones outweigh the bad. But the bad ones tend to take a lot of the attention. So thinking of that, I wonder if Antonio Brown's been taken into custody yet.
I've not seen it. I haven't seen the headlines come up. I just sent you that one article, but yeah, well, Antonio it needs help, dude. We've known this for a while now, and I just hope that he gets it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Anyways, everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. We will be back next week. We're getting ready to watch the Bills Patriots, and we'll see if the Giants can get it back on the winning track against the Commanders this weekend. But we will be back next week, and a lot of college football going on. Have you been watching any of the soccer?
No,
I have actually. Just the American stuff.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry, man.
I just want to see this America. I want to see America win, but I don't think there's much chance of it.
They're not going to win.
Even though they actually this young team plays a better brand than what I've seen before, but it is long to see. The good thing about watching a soccer game is you can get up and do errands and stuff in the middle of it, not this much.
Yeah, so, you can go and play around at golf and come back and it's still 0-0.
You can paint your house, come back in, still 0-0. Yeah. All right, my friend. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. I will see you next week.
All right, sounds good, buddy.